The At Home Show.
There you are, sitting on the couch. Feeling very good about yourself, I'm sure. You've been watching football and digesting that food, baby. Turkey, ham, rolls, casseroles, green beans. All the delicious pies that you probably had on Thanksgiving. You're thinking, wow, that was easy. Sadly, though, the game is not over yet. The final boss of 2021 awaits. Christmas. Not only is there more cooking, more food, more pies, but now there's shopping involved. Gauntlets of people running mad over Christmas gifts, supply chain issues. Everything that could frustrate you, all packed into the next 4 weeks. Are you ready? Because here at the At Home Show, we're probably not even thinking about it. We're just worried about going out and playing in the dirt and hoping the ground isn't too hard because it's so cold. You know what I mean? Live from the Green Room Studios, from the spacious property of Bates Nursery and Garden Center, 3810 Whites Creek Pike, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates.
Hey, welcome in, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a Saturday morning tradition. It's the At Home Show, live from the Green Room Studio, right here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
That's true.
There's some frost on the bushes outside, David Bates.
There certainly is. It is indeed a chilly morning, and we'll just go directly to the forecast and proceed accordingly. And yesterday is Saturday, the 27th of November.
Wow.
In case you cannot deduce that on your own, that means December's coming up quickly. High of 58 degrees today, so it will be a more pleasant day than yesterday. It was quite chilly yesterday.
Brisk.
But 58 degrees and mostly sunny today. Matter of fact, that's almost the forecast for the foreseeable future. We're going to have a lot of sunshine and cooler temperatures, somewhere between the lower 50s and the mid to upper 60s, perhaps by the end of the week. Wednesday, of course, is the first day of December. 65, 46 degrees. Currently, it's 26 degrees here at the Bates Nursery Weather Station.
Yes, it is.
Live from the Green Room here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Before we get going real good, we have to acknowledge a certain anniversary of a day of a birth today.
Okay.
My eldest daughter, we all know her as Sunshine here on the At Home Show. You know Sunshine.
Well,
you know Sunshine and Snowflake.
I have not known either of them by those names. I hear you refer to them as that, but that's not how I know them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but Eliza turns 26 years old today, David Bates.
That's, yep.
Happy birthday. Mm-hmm.
Happy birthday, Eliza. That is great.
Yeah.
26.
Got to get her own insurance.
That's the way that works.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way that works. Hey, growing up is where it's at. One of these days I plan to get around to it.
We'll resemble that remark. Okay, the phone number here, 619-6690. The phone is it's got dust on it because
I tell you, it's so little has it been used that we're actually thinking about changing the number.
Yes.
So that's the way that rolls. But you can text us. You can leave us a voicemail at that number. We also can be reached otherwise through the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates Facebook page.
That is the preferred method, almost. If you want somebody to answer it live, that's probably Tyler Martin takes care of the other feeds. But I
try to monitor Bates.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
and our at the other end of the studio, Carrie Gant. She monitors the Instagram pages.
Yes.
So,
good morning.
Good morning, Carrie. And we also have Austin Lowen aboard. Good morning, Austin. And we'll be talking about whatever kind
We're going to put him in charge of the TikTok.
No.
Yes.
No.
Austin will be in charge of TikTok.
Well, I mean, Austin will likely be one of those people on the other side of the camera. He's not the photo from the photographer standpoint, from the presenter standpoint.
Because don't they dance on the TikTok?
They
dance
do all
a
kinds
lot.
of stuff on TikTok.
We talk about a lot of things here before we go on air in the mornings, and that's just one of them.
Well, the moose is over here to the left of me.
Yes. Counting them down. whatever.
I don't know that I'm counting anything down.
Did you bring me some deviled eggs?
No, did you bring me turkey?
No,
Yeah,
there
so
wasn't
there
any
you go.
left.
It's probably because they threw it all away.
Oh, no. This one was a special turkey.
615
Like this special buy from Kroger?
Actually, it did come
Okay.
from Kroger this year.
615-499-6690. We do have quite a lot to talk about today. This is the Small Business Saturday edition of the At Home Show, and all across this great land of ours. This thing started, I guess it's been about 15 years ago. I'm not really sure. But I think originally, and maybe it's still largely promoted by American Express. So I'm sure they
Don't leave home without it.
Yeah, well, that's what they used to say anyway.
Yes.
But this is I think this is the one day a year where that we somehow level the playing field for the small business owners around the country. You know, we take it away this one day from the big box stores. We're willing to give that one day up. That's not exactly the way it works. You know, obviously we are at it every day, as are all other small businesses. So we appreciate that level of recognition, and we're grateful to have on board today at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. In addition to the other things that we offer every other day, we have a couple of guest businesses who are a one-day appearance only. And Cary, I'm going to let you talk more about that and help people understand what we have going on today at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Oh, yeah. So until 3 p.m. today, we have Music City Tropicals, who we've had out before. She has an array of rare houseplants. I saw her unloading this morning. There's some pretty amazing ones, very large ones. So if you're looking to get, and look, Tyler brought up some photos that I took out there this morning.
Wonderful.
So she's got some Thai constellation that you see in the upper left-hand corner. Pink Princess, Philodendron, as well as white. I'll let you guys guess which ones those are.
Pretty easy, I think.
Moss poles. Looks like moss poles.
She does have moss poles, which Josh did buy some of last time.
And they're stackable.
Yes, they are.
They are stackable, so you can just keep going. Let that plant grow, all the way up. And then the upper right-hand corner, which is my favorite, it is a milk confetti syngonium, which I've always wanted one. I might buy it today. So she's got tons of house plants. She has more than she brought last time. They look fantastic. I love them. So that's Music City Tropicals. Amy Childress is the one who is running that. And then we have Pepper Palm. She has hand-painted ceramics. She's also a local Nashville artist. Tyler, do you have a photo? I sent you one, but it might be a little bit.
It was very sudden. So
So
can you try sending that to me again, and I'll get it fixed up for you?
Yeah.
But what her products are hand-painted, decorated pottery.
Yes, correct. So if you get a plant, you can also get a hand-painted pot to go along with it.
A very personalized, unique thing. Not she's taken terracotta is principally what she works on. Is that correct?
That is correct, David.
So-
you are right.
So a lot of great designs on that, and help you to really enhance the gift ideas you may be getting out and getting into today. On this wonderful Small Business Saturday.
Yes.
It's
exciting.
Does she hand paint them like on site or?
No, I believe
No.
she
They're
just brought stuff that she hand painted in her studio, which I believe is in 100 Taylor over in Germantown. So, fun fact. I think. I could be wrong.
That's a great place. A lot of artisans over there.
It is a great paint.
The only problem with Germantown is Nein sprechen Sie Deutsch. So
there you go.
I think you might find a lot of people
That don't
do
speak German.
615-499-6690. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do have questions available out there either through the At Home Show Instagram, the Bates Nursery Instagram pages, the At Home Show Facebook page. So anybody want to fire one out there? And or is there, first of all, is there something in particular? I know Austin, we spoke yesterday. There were some things you brought in, and you and Cary kind of brainstormed on this one about expanding your horizons and on the definition of what a living Christmas tree might look like in your home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of options for that. I know a lot of people, and they do it every year. It's been a tradition a lot of times for them to come out and buy, say, Eastern White Pine or Canadian Hemlock or Norway Spruce to put inside the house. and have as your living Christmas tree. And then once you're done with Christmas, you take it outside and plant it. And a lot of people do that, and a lot of people do it every year successfully. A lot of people don't do it successfully because they do it a little bit early. So if you really want a Christmas tree for like the whole month of December, I don't necessarily recommend bringing a live tree inside the house for the whole month. Now, for a couple weeks, that could probably work. But
there's some things you really need to do. You need to be able, if you're going to extend it beyond really 10 days, it really needs to be in a room that you can close the heating vents off on completely.
Not by the fireplace.
Not by the fireplace. No. And keep that room much cooler than the other rooms in the house, preferably in the 50s. Because these plants are, what you don't want to have happen is for them to break dormancy. So when they get in that warmth, after we've had cold temperatures, they interpret that as, hey, spring has returned.
We always watered with ice cubes, Austin.
That helps a lot as well. The other thing is you mentioned, I'm a huge proponent of starting a new tradition, having a Christmas tree outside. Many of us have, patio areas or an attached deck to the house where that you have a really nice outdoor area that's not heated, that you can step out and do a Christmas morning thing, perhaps briskly.
Like the Who's did and the Grinch?
Yeah, so but you can do that. And that way you can. That way
there
you can.
It is. Yep.
Whatever they
Keep
said.
going, Josh.
Okay. Excuse me while I kiss this guy. Was that?
So, you can use that, and you can really get the entire month if you want to take that approach. But I think what we talked about, Austin, and what you and Cary had correctly brainstormed on is kind of expanding your horizons on what you might use as a Christmas tree. I look right behind your head, and there is, I believe that's an emerald arborvitae star topiary. Is that what that is?
Yes, it is. And I put some lights on it just for today.
Yes, and that's a great example of the kind of things you could do, and it gives you something that you can incorporate into your landscape right after.
A star is born.
That's right.
Yep.
Look, it's even lit up.
Yeah, see, so for me, I've got 3 daughters, and I like to have them a Christmas tree in their rooms. Maybe not all 3 of them. Maybe I'll just do a one kind of thing for this year because it gets expensive. But what I like to do is get a nice little, dwarf conifer, something that's interesting, something you don't always see all the time, like this guy right next to me, which is a Japanese white pine. Cool little plant, and I can use it as a Christmas tree in their rooms, decorate it, and then after that I can take it out and plant it, and I've got me a cool little start of a conifer. So not all that expensive to buy a little one like this and then watch it grow. So there's all sorts of options for different looking Christmas trees. And we've got a weeping spruce right here that's super cool. Cary even over there brought a cactus in. She decorates a cactus every year for her Christmas tree. So that's an option as well. So anything can really be a Christmas tree, just depending on how you kind of decorate it. And
if you put lights on it, it'll be a Christmas tree.
And the good thing about it, if you use something that's more in the tropical nature, you don't have those time restrictions. As a matter of fact, you've got to keep it inside. That's the nature of it.
That's
They don't like cold weather. In case you didn't know
my mother-in-law used one year. She had a memorial ficus, and it had gotten so large that moving it was a bit problematic.
Right.
It sat right in front of the picture window in the living room, and it was decorated, and it was absolutely stunning. And just brought it all together.
And another thing that you will notice this year is that due to all of the logistical problems that exist in the supply chain in today's world, there are decidedly fewer cut trees that are in the marketplace. So this may be the year that you've been pondering doing something different. I would suggest that it's a really good year to take up that thought process. Now, maybe you don't know, I don't have any idea what to use or whatever. That's where it's really a good idea, Austin, for folks, if they're considering an alternate type look for a Christmas tree, is to, first of all, think, where will I use that in my landscape after the Christmas season is over?
Yeah, exactly. So you want to, get yourself a nice Christmas gift, and you've been thinking, hey, maybe I need a Japanese maple, and it's a little bit expensive of a tree. So you think, okay, I'm going to make it a Christmas present to myself. So about 10 days before Christmas, grab you a nice Japanese maple, say a coral bark Japanese maple.
Ooh,
what does it
yeah.
have? It's got blood red stems over the wintertime. So you've got this red stem tree inside your house that you can put lights on and, make that your living Christmas tree. And like I said, like David said, I don't really recommend it past 10 days or so, 10 to 14 days. You don't really want it in the house much longer than that. But say you've been wanting one for a while, now's a great time to do it. Decorate it, get your presents under there, and have that be your Christmas tree for the season.
I think that's a great selection, a great choice. And again, for those who maybe didn't pick up this little detail, if you can keep the heat way down in the room that the Christmas tree, regardless of what type it is, these plants are coming in from the outside if they're regular landscape type plants, and they are fully dormant now. We had 22 degrees out here at the nursery this morning for the overnight low. So you don't have plants that are actively growing at all, and you want to keep them that way. And the way to do that is to reduce the amount of time you have them inside, and or keep them in a room where you can keep the thermostat turned down and close all the vents. And as Josh already mentioned, water them with ice cubes.
I think it seems we've always recommended a transition in and a transition back out as well.
Right, and that's particularly important if you have decided to kind of stretch the boundaries a little
Pushing
bit.
it, yeah.
You may want to take this plant out and move it to a transitional spot, even in the garage or maybe in your basement where that is.
Three-season room.
It's much cooler than it is inside the home, and that will help it to acclimate to the
because you're confusing them, people. I mean, you're just trying to trick them.
You wouldn't think about a pine tree like Japanese white pine that he's showing there of having issues with freeze damage, but it's not inconceivable if you don't follow the procedure and really make an effort to keep it dormant.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think is probably the best way to go is to just invest in a nice fake Christmas tree to put up in your home every single year. And then if you decide to do living Christmas trees, buy them and keep them outside on your front porch and deck them, as much as you want to.
Right.
And just leave them out and have them right at the front door.
It's a lot easier that way. And I don't know if you've ever tried taking.
Plus, you can sing the Who song around it in the front yard on Christmas morning.
Yeah, we don't need for you to.
One more time, Josh.
No.
Hey, check it out. Look, Pepper Palms
There
pot.
it
Look,
is. Yay.
Yeah,
It
great-
made it.
Great example of some of the beautiful pots.
Michael muted me.
excellent color scheme.
Michael muted me.
Mute him again, Michael.
Yep, and what a great use of that button, I must say.
Yes.
Nobody can press his buttons like I can.
615-499-6690.
You've not met my wife.
6690. She installed the buttons. She knows.
Whoops, there's the pots again.
Yay. One more
She's got a
time.
rheostat. I mean, very pretty.
All right.
Very,
Whoa,
very pretty.
here we
And
go.
And back to.
We got layers like
Look at
onions.
you go.
There we go.
All right. Are we ready for our first question?
We
Let's
are.
do that.
Looks like
yes.
it's about time. So this comes from Cat Drinkwater. Is now a good time to mulch, or should I wait until spring?
Well,
I'd probably wait until at least, what do you say, David?
3:30?
3:30, yeah, that would be the day.
There you go.
Your mulching is not something that really is so seasonal specific. You tend to, for my purposes, you mulch when you need mulch, and if you still have a lot of mulch present, it just might not be necessary. Now, the other side of that equation is that if you have a lot of deciduous plants in particular, or other things that are herbaceous that die back down, your mulched areas may not be looking very nice, so you may want to freshen them up a bit to give it a better appearance over the winter season. So.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. What do you think about it, Austin?
Well, I think the same. I think that we ought to talk a little bit about over mulching, and which happens a lot. I hear it with a lot of landscape companies too. Even landscapers that have been doing it, they say they just want to reapply mulch whenever you've got plenty there. A lot of times you can literally just take a rake and kind of just turn it, flip it a little bit, and you'll get that color back without adding too much mulch. A lot of people go way too much mulch around their plants, and it's not needed. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of time. So, like I said, just go out there, flip it, turn it a little bit, and you'll get a much better look without having to add it.
Yeah, generally speaking, if you have, let's say you have used a hardwood bark mulch product and you have applied it 3 to 4 inches in depth, which is a fairly common amount for the initial mulching, that's not going to have broken down enough it will take it at least a year before you would really need to add more. Now, the mulch doesn't go away, and people say, well, it just disappeared. It didn't disappear. It breaks down and goes into the soil. It really helps a lot. So the adding of mulch is a very important process, particularly if you're trying to build up your soils. Maybe you have a cherty or kind of soil that's really not all that high in organic content. Mulching and successively mulching over a period of years really does a lot to improve the organic content aspect of your soil. But you can't do it all at one time, as to Austin's point. You've got to be reasonable about how much you're adding. You probably, if you're remulching, you would never put more than 2 inches. You might just put the thinnest skim you can, perhaps an inch on there, and be plenty sufficient. Then again, if you've already overmulched, you may need to wait. And there are some products on the market. We don't carry them, but there are some. There essentially is a water soluble spray paint that you can these mulches. If you buy black mulch or red mulch, those have had these plant-based pigments sprayed on them. It's the same mulch as our natural hardwood mulch. They've just been colored. And those are the people who probably are most conscious of it, is that those colors are not permanent. They do fade over time.
Now, if you were trying to do a bed prep, now the use of Treflan at this time of the year is probably not going to do anybody any good. I don't know if it's going to have the residual to get you through the spring as a pre-emerge, would it?
There are winter weeds that can be problematic, and you might get some benefit from that. But most of the weeds are going to be dormant, just lying around waiting for spring. And so it's not really such an issue now. If you were getting ready to remulch, it's always a good idea to go in there and clean all the existing vegetation out. You can get out, and the application of a pre-emergent type of herbicide at that point prior to mulching is not a bad idea. But the act of mulching in itself does help deter weed growth.
And I'm just going to jump in here and
say,
There he is.
I mulched my bananas recently because I cut them down to the ground. And
now that's kind of a different deal, but talk about that.
Well, they are I believe a rhizome type plant. So they live underneath the ground, and you need to mulch it over winter to keep some of the kind of stalks, because that's where they grow back from completely dying off.
Right.
And I had some die off last year because we had those really, really freezing temperatures in February, which was probably the most I've had since I've been growing them. But the mulch did help. The things that were covered well with 2 to 3 inches of mulch really helped it bounce back when it started growing again.
Yep.
I also do the same thing for my elephant ear beds.
Elephant ears, cannas, all those things that are
good tip.
That are plants that will generally do well here, but they do die back to the ground every year. And if you have severe weather and you don't have sufficient cover over the soil, be it from snow or whatever, snow is actually an insulator, folks. So you may think, but isn't that frozen? It's about the relative temperature. Generally, 17 degrees is where you start seeing severe dieback on roots. So that means the soil temperature has to get that cold. It's not talking about air temperature.
Now, our viewers up in the north, I know we've got some people in Michigan and Nebraska that watch us.
What?
For rose bushes up there, they do, don't they build like a tent or some sort of insulating structure over some of it's not the shrub type roses that they do them on.
No, but hybrid teas. Yeah. You could get, Austin, you might want to speak to this a little bit. It's very much a problem if you have a grafted rose that graft could freeze out, or the buds that are at the top of that bud graft, and therefore it would revert to whatever the understock rose at that point. So,
yeah, and that certainly can happen. I have not spent much time up north. I don't know really what they have to do with roses up there. I mean, I know roses are pretty cold hardy though, but like you said, if it does kind of freeze out above the graft union, you can get a different rose altogether.
I see somebody's hands going up over there. So
I think she was stretching.
I was stretching.
Yeah.
Oh.
And just saying hi to everyone on that end.
But
I will say, my professor in college, who taught me almost everything I know about plants, at least originally, he lived in Utah, and he had a little nursery up there, and he told me over the wintertime if he did not get sufficient snow, he saw a lot of dieback. So I thought that was interesting. He kept all of his plants outside, and they were, mainly deciduous plants. And he said, there would be a couple winters to where if they didn't get a ton of snow, he saw a lot of dieback. So he really, relied on that snowfall to keep those pots covered with that and insulated. And that really helped from those really freezing winds and, really bad temperatures. So
it sounds counterintuitive, and it's the same line of thinking as what we talked about last week and many times in the past, is that when you're going into extreme weather conditions and you have containers that are above the ground level, if you've got planters around that it doesn't matter if you've got very hardy conifers or deciduous plants in there, because you have them above the ground, you effectively lose 2 hardiness zones. So if it is a plant that is listed as a zone 5 hardy, you have transformed it by putting it in a container into a zone 7 hardy plant. So you have lost a significant portion of that plant's ability to withstand the cold. The thing you have in your arsenal of things to be able to do is to thoroughly soak it before we have severe cold temperatures. Now, temperatures in the all the way through the 20s are not severe. It's not something that's decidedly problematic for conifers and most deciduous things. But as we start having more and more cold temperatures where we have overnight lows into the mid and lower teens, it becomes much more of an issue at that point.
All right. Do we have another question, Cary?
Oh, of course we have another question.
Sure.
Our next one is, any color I can plant in my flower beds to survive the winter?
Well, that's about availability.
Yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, and we hate to keep playing the trucking card but it's there's simply things have. I don't know if anybody's noticed. The last couple of years, there's been a lot of changes.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm just saying. And because of that, trucking is one of those things that has. And Josh, you deal with this a lot in your industry, probably only many times every day. But getting things to and from has become more challenging, and also those where the products that we sell are not manufactured, they are grown. They've had to change growing philosophy. So consequently, all that is to say that there have been cutbacks in the production of things such as pansies and violas, where in years past there were huge numbers of them, so much so that they were available throughout the winter. You're going to see a big gap in the middle of the season. That's where we are right now. We are completely out of them.
Yeah, unfortunately. My dad is actually in town from Texas, and he told me the same thing. Even down in Texas, they are he went to Lowe's, Home Depot, he even went to his local nursery, and he said they are all out of pansies and violas already. So if you missed the boat this year, we're sorry, but that's all we got. Now, what you could do is come out and maybe buy some bulbs for the spring and go ahead and get them planted and then enjoy those in the early spring. It's always fun to see.
You mentioned the Japanese maple that has the blood red tips. There are other plants that are just as pretty in the wintertime almost as they are in the summertime. I mean, you've got some dogwoods that have that.
It's both golden twigged and red twigged dogwoods, and those are again, they're not a dogwood that you would think of conventionally. These grow in the shrub form, multi-stemmed, but those multiple stems is where you get that big burst of color. So they're both quite attractive, along with the Sango Kaku Japanese maple that the coral bark.
This might be a good time to mention we have a webinar called Planting for Winter Interest.
Well, that's a nice segue.
Yes, and Joy, I think Joy Bovin taught that one, and she goes over just excellent specimens that are definitely annual alternative, like winterberry holly, for instance, things that can also help feed the critters in the winter, things that are native.
And you have seen Joy on the program here on several occasions, and she is a major contributor also to many of our webinars, and she's a wealth of knowledge. So particularly, her passion is in natives and things that are in the perennial in nature. So she has a wealth of information regarding that. So I recommend you come out and pick her brain. She's got a lot of information up there.
And the evergreens that bronzed up and the yellow ones, I mean, it's just, you have to just come out and see what it looks like. I mean, you really do.
And you don't really get a good sense of the color that the conifers add during any time except now, because
even the floofy grasses are pretty this time of the year.
I like them. I even things that like hydrangeas that have dried flowers on the top of them currently. And there we go. Audio's back.
Don't panic, folks.
Yeah, well, you could feel the audience out there going, "What?"
Oh,
anyway,
no.
but I like the dried plumes of old or the flowers of
The floofies.
what we call them flowers.
Okay.
On things such as Annabelle hydrangeas, I got asked by my guy who does my yard maintenance if I wanted to cut them down, and I've been married 36 years, and I gave him the correct answer. I said,
Go ask her.
You need to check with Renee. So,
What's mommy say?
But I like the way they look personally.
Yeah, and there's tons of plants out there that look, I think, better over the winter more than they do during the summer. Y'all had mentioned red twig dogwood and yellow twig dogwood. They're best over the winter time.
They're ugly during the growing season. To me, I don't.
Yeah.
But I have. There's a few places in town where people have planted like a hedge out of them that are nearby major thoroughfares. One I know of that has a mixture of sections of the yellow twig and red twig dogwoods, and it's stunning this time of year. It's such a great show. So you have to be able to project and think ahead so that you can anticipate the color that's going to come. And even though it's not there and maybe stunning all year long, it gives a great show for the entirety of the winter when you put those kinds of things out.
There's also one more I got to mention that's on the lot right now. It's a 15-gallon Bihou Japanese maple. Bihou.
Okay, I got to stop you for just a second. Do you and Shannon by chance have a bet riding on this? Yeah. Austin and Shannon are bad for they'll pick a plant and they'll go, okay, who's going to sell that one first? So I'm just curious if that's one of those
It's
plants.
funny you ask, because I actually I've got him on the hook. He needs a Japanese maple for his mother, and he had already picked one out, a little bit cheaper, not as cool. And I went and showed him that Bihou Japanese maple, and I think I'm about to reel him in on it. I think he's got
It's for mom. Spend a couple extra bucks.
That's what I said. And I think it's sitting out there for like $400, but it's a dwarf Japanese maple that's an upright green leaf Japanese maple that has nice color change in the fall, mainly yellow.
Wow.
But the stems over the wintertime are fantastic. They go from yellow to orange and then to red, racing up the stems. It's a fantastic looking plant. It's certainly something that you need. We've got one left. That's it. So if
Shannon needs to be
Shannon better buy it, or it's going to get got today.
Gonna get got. You've been working on that for a week and a half now. I thought you already sold
Well,
it to him.
and
He's still on the hook. I ain't got him to the boat yet.
You need to try harder.
And it's just another great thing. I believe with regard to Japanese maples, everybody gets hung up on the red leaf cultivars of Japanese maples, but there are, as you just talked about with that one, there's so many great green leaf cultivars.
The lace leaf greens are
and they're much more, generally speaking, they're much more resilient to the ravages of heat during the summer. They don't display that severely stressed look like a lot of other maples do.
Yeah, exactly. I actually prefer the green leaf maple, because what do we love about maples? We love their fall color change. That's what we like about all maples. So I mean, you do get a little bit of a color change with the red ones. They kind of brighten up a little over the during the fall. But it's the dramatic color change that I really like to see. So I'm a green leaf maple guy for sure. I've got a Ryus and Japanese maple, which is a weeping variety, right at the front of my house. And right now it is like a beautiful burgundy red.
Wow.
And they haven't dropped yet. The leaves haven't dropped. They're still on. It's an excellent little plant. So I'm happy with it right now.
Well, very good. Hey, let's quickly switch gears for just a moment. Talk about Earth Mix garden products, and if you're all the things we're talking about planting. And on a small business Saturday, it's a great day to get out and support your local independent garden centers. And those are the only places you're going to find EarthMix garden products. Matter of fact, if you go to earthmix.net and click on the Find EarthMix tab, which is right there, you'll see a map that'll pop up, and it'll show you locations all over Middle Tennessee and Kentucky, even up into Indiana and Ohio. So check out all those locations. And what you get when you use EarthMix garden products is not just a product that is completely organic, not just a product that is sustainably produced. What you're getting is a product that absolutely produces the best growth and grow off. It gives the plants all the things they need to be their most productive and be most resilient against the ravages that Mother Nature puts out there, be it pest or pathogen. Use EarthMix garden products. We here at Bates Nursery, we recommend using EarthMix Landscape for everything you're planting, and we have a very low loss rate resulting of that. So if you want to have the best success, number one, deal with your local independent garden centers, and two, check out the full line of EarthMix garden products. Because remember this, success in gardening begins at the ground level when you use EarthMix garden products, and we appreciate you giving us a moment to talk about that. Cary, I know you got some more questions over there, and you're going to be making an early exit today, so we don't want to miss those.
No, we don't. All right, so our next question is, how do I keep bugs out of my indoor plants?
Keep the plants outside.
Thank you, Josh.
Can't always do that,
There's
Josh.
a great answer right there. So there's multiple ways you can do it. If you really want to keep lots of bugs out, I would suggest just keeping your plants indoors. I take mine in and out through the seasons, and when I bring them outside, they do get a little bit buggy, whether it's just insects or pests, so I do have to clean it. One of my favorite go-tos is neem oil. I will usually just do, like in the late summer or late fall, I'll wipe down my plant with neem oil, kind of spray the soil, check the soil to see if there are any bugs in it, and it's just going to kind of kill them off and clean your plant and gives you time to shine it up.
Now, Cary,
Yes.
you do use the free-range neem oil, right?
Yeah, I do, Josh.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the neem, it only comes from the prostate gland of the neem.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
That's what Josh believes.
Thank you, Josh.
okay.
Thank you for that.
But it's got to be free range. You can't cage them. Okay.
That's right. You can't cage that neem. You can also use insecticidal soap. They're both great, non-toxic, especially if you have pets or children around.
Yeah, and to be sure, particularly with neem oil, it's best used as a preventive treatment. It's, if you wait until you have a problem, you may wind up having to use something that's more chemical in nature and stronger. So if you will preventatively treat with neem oil on a clean plant, you may head off other issues that could come down the line.
That's right, which is why I was talking about I like to just pre-treat it every year. I just use neem to clean it as I inspect for pests. So if you're talking about like pest, scale, mealybugs, aphids, anything like that, when you get a new plant, I always suggest kind of quarantining that plant. You never know what you're bringing into your house, what then could transfer to your other houseplants. So once you get that new plant in, if you've got a room that doesn't have a lot of houseplants, or preferably any houseplants, keep it in there, keep an eye on it, and then once it's pest-free, you can move it into the room with its new friends, and it should be happy. Now, if you were to have kind of a pest infestation, which David was talking about, neem doesn't necessarily treat it. It's more of a preventative. Words are hard.
It's easy for you to say.
Preventative. I'm talking real fast. You can use, we have systemic here. That's what I use a lot. I like the granular that you'll add to the soil. The plant absorbs it, and then as those pests feed on your plant, it's going to kill them.
Yeah, and the real key to searching for a pest is it's not to look at the top of the foliage, is it, Austin? It's they hide. Mm-hmm. They're very adept at hiding, particularly things like scale and mealybugs. They're either way down deep or underneath the foliage. So people got to take time to actually roll the leaf over or get you a mirror and look underneath if that doesn't work for you, depending on what the plant is. But a lot of pests really get to a bad level simply because people fail to look in the right spot for them.
Bill Hayes says, "Neem me up, Scotty."
There you go.
Okay.
Austin actually taught a webinar on common house plant pests, and we took a look at some under a microscope that is out there on the Bates Nursery website.
All right, so you can check that out, and we actually have
Got bug images?
through the
Cool.
efforts largely of the trio on the other end of the room with Tyler, Austin, and Cary, and the others here at Bates Nursery. We have a huge amount of content out there on our Bates Nursery website.
70 webinars. That's the count.
Yeah, and these are long form webinars. These are not a quick 2-minute brush over. These are in-depth studies, and also the professionals we've got here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center are, in case you haven't noticed, are very passionate about plants. And consequently, we've been fortunate to acquire a bit of knowledge through experience, and that is, we're really happy to share that with you and hopefully impart that information to you so that you can have success and avoid a lot of the problems that come along the way. Mm-hmm. So there you go. There's that. Cary, you got anything else out there for us?
Yep, we got one more.
Okay.
Nope, let me go back up. When and how should I prune my dwarf hydrangeas? They look pitiful.
Well,
Okay.
Go jump on it, Austin. What do you think?
Well, I think, didn't I do a webinar on pruning hydrangeas? I think
You
at
did
1.2,
hydrangeas 101,
Yeah.
and then I think Ben subbed for you doing a hydrangea pruning webinar.
Oh, that's right. That was the day I smashed my toe.
That
I had to
was
go
the
to
day.
the ER. I remember that.
And
yeah.
you even tried to do the webinar.
I
And
did.
by the
I
way-
didn't want
To do
to
it.
cut out.
And Ben is a very capable substitute for pruning seminar because he really knows the stuff on pruning.
Yeah, he does.
He's got 10 good toes, too. So, I mean, hey,
There you
next
go.
man up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So if your hydrangea's looking bad, let's go ahead and get it cut. It's that time of year that's they're frost has gotten them, the freeze has gotten them. They're looking rough. So let's go ahead and get them. Pick a spot where you want the stem. You want to leave the stems up, at least some 2 to 3 foot high, roughly, and you want to just get them back uniform. So let's cut back any dead or dying wood. Let's cut back any crossing wood, any stems that are kind of going across each other. Let's go ahead and get rid of those first. And then we're just going to prune to a uniform size. So like I said, about 2 to 3 feet off the ground. Go ahead and prune all the stems at the same level, and you'll get a uniform bust in the spring, if you will. And hopefully we have a next season hydrangea year like we did this season, because it was really, really nice.
Boy, it was.
I've never witnessed a season like the one we had this year.
It would be nice if we had a repeat performance. I don't anticipate it because I've never seen a year be like it was this year, where every different species, cultivar, they all did wonderfully, and it's hard to replicate that unique set of circumstances. And our camera is down again. That's not an illusion.
No, it's live. The monitor went down.
The monitor. Oh well, that we look. No wonder we look so good. It's dark on our side.
I got a haircut. Anybody notice?
I noticed.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. You might have got it cut. But
I got them all cut, actually.
But you didn't do anything stylish with it. The good thing about me is
Listen to jealousy rearing its ugly head over here.
I don't have good hair days or bad hair days.
You just have hair
I
days.
just have days.
You're like me. You have no hair days.
Yeah, and Austin,
I'm there.
Austin understands. We don't have to deal with it. So yeah, there's a tinge of jealousy there, and I don't know
Yes.
how you rated to be able to get that mane, but whatever.
I know. Tyler over there also. Look at his. He's got hair for days. I'm jealous.
It's gorgeous.
Hi. You can't see it. It's all wrapped up.
615-499-6690. We'll talk for a moment. Let's just go ahead and talk about Bates Nursery and Garden Center here for a couple of minutes. And Cary, if you need to go now, this will probably be a convenient time for you to slip out and without tripping over mic cords and all that. It's difficult to do when you got as many things going on in this studio as we have. So we've been beautifying Nashville since 1932. So that means we're rapidly approaching our 90th 90th anniversary. And in those in 18 of the last 19 of those years, the Nashville Scene readers have voted us best of Nashville.
Yep.
And so we're really appreciative of that. And those kind of accolades come as a result of the staff that I've been fortunate to be able to attract and keep here. And, of course, Austin and Cary and Joy and Ben and Adam and Shannon and the whole cast of personalities we've got around here are not just engaging people, but they're also really informative. So encourage you to come out and pick our brains. This is really a great time of year for that because this is not the crazy busy time, and we have more time to be able to perhaps get a little more in depth on your particular landscape situation and help you maybe put a more complete plan together. And it's also, as we mentioned earlier, it's if you don't have a real good sense about how winter color works, be it on deciduous plants with colored stems or on conifers that change color in the winter and get that bronzy tone, or sometimes it's a very bright gold depending on what it is. You get to see that and get the sense of that at this time of year. So I encourage you to come out and see us. We're now closed on Sundays until spring season. So we won't be open tomorrow, but we are open 9 a.m. until 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and we'll be open those hours until we get to the Christmas season, which is a few weeks away, as we've already mentioned. So it's a great time to get out and get a gift for that gardener that's in your life, and maybe you don't know exactly what they might want. We do. It's called a gift card.
Yep.
And we have them in all denominations. Then you can go right out to batesnursery.com and just click on where it says gift cards right there. And when I click on that, you'll see there's all these different denominations. You can get the gift card and have it mailed directly to the recipient. You do not have
come
to,
on down, David. Get that good one down here.
well, I mean, there's all denominations. So you can scroll down the page when you get to the website. But it's a great gift idea for folks that you know are avid gardeners, but maybe you just don't have any idea what they need. Well, they need a gift card, and they can figure it out.
They need to buy one gift card just for the Earth Mix products when they're out here. Make it separate. Separate that one out and say if you don't buy anything else, you got to get the Earth Mix when you come out.
Yeah, and speaking of Earth Mix, we've got our sale going on this week, and it's going on through the end of business on Thursday. 30% off all deciduous trees. Now that excludes Japanese maples, but other than that, all deciduous trees, that's the trees that drop their leaves, 30% off. And as an added bonus, we're also offering Earth Mix Landscape in bags. That is the premium soil conditioner, Earth Mix product that we offer for 30% off as well. So not only can you get the best selection of trees for your landscape, you also get the best product to plant that with and really have success. So come on out and see us. We're located 1 mile north of Briley Parkway at exit 19 on Whites Creek Pike. Just a mile north from there, minutes from anywhere in the area, from downtown Nashville, Rivergate, Donaldson, West Nashville,
Jackson. It's minutes.
It would be a lot of minutes. So.
It's okay. It's still just minutes.
But we do have people make the drive from quite far distances.
Yes.
So it is still worth the drive from anywhere, even though it's wintertime and we don't have the springtime selection. We've got a really outstanding selection right now. So come out and see us, Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 32. So
90 years is a long time.
it is, and I'm pretty sure my grandmother never had visions of how that would look back in the day when she convinced this time 30 or 60, 90 years ago.
Yeah, 30, 60, 90. That's a good
90
progression.
years ago, my grandmother was convincing my grandfather that they should mortgage their home in the height of the Great Depression, mortgage their home for $200 so they could build a concrete block. And my grandfather was, heard to say, well, at least we had a home once. He was sure they were going to lose everything. And my grandmother would hear none of it. And as a matter of fact,
is that where Yes Dear started?
Could be.
Think about it.
He didn't have a good enough comeback for her. She was a pretty determined individual. And so they did pay that mortgage off. Matter of fact, they were able to do that in the first year.
Wow.
And then he was heard to exclaim, look what we've done. And he didn't have anything to do with it. It was, so he was a fuel truck driver. So my grandmother, I've always been and remain very proud of the fact that had a really strong woman who is the founder of our business, and we try to do her honor by carrying on to this day.
Nanny,
she was quite an individual. 615-499-6690. That's the number. Austin, you got anything else you want to add with respect to? We talked about some unusual, maybe, or things that people wouldn't not consider initially or doesn't meet the criteria as a stereotype Christmas tree, it's a really good year due to the fact that a lot of Christmas trees are not available. You know, Costco didn't even carry them this year because they couldn't get them. Mm-hmm. Costco couldn't get them. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, it's
Sam's got them all.
It's nuts. Yeah, we got ours actually. We got a cut Christmas tree at a little local Pleasant View nursery where we live close to. So we've got ours in the house. We got it decorated yesterday. It's looking good. But yeah, I was gonna speak on what buying plants for people as a Christmas gift is such a good idea that a lot of people don't think about. You know, you're getting a single, say, peach tree. We sell a peach tree out here for $39.99 all day long. You can get it for 30% off right now. And giving someone a peach tree, they don't. You don't even have to bring it in the house. You can say, "Hey, I got your gift outside." You come out and
got a ribbon on it.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't bring it in the house.
No, you're not going to bring it in the house, but it's a great little gift. People got a small little yard. They want to, put a tree out there. They don't even know they want to put a tree out there. But if you get it for them, they're like, whoa, I got this live thing that I can put in the yard. I've been giving plants as gifts for over a decade now, mainly because this is what I do, and I love plants, and I want people to have plants. So, getting people a single poinsettia is one thing. Getting them a Christmas cactus is another, a little holiday thing. But getting someone a deciduous tree,
that's the gift that really, truly keeps on giving.
It does. It really does. It's a great gift idea that a lot of people don't think of.
And there are people who erroneously believe, well, I've got a brown thumb, I can't grow anything. And that is the most false thing, the most false belief. It is true that people who I think are described as having a green thumb perhaps innately have a little better idea about the timing and how to do things.
Gee whiz, I should water. It's been 3 days. I mean, come on. Just a little bit
there are those who innately are more attuned to the needs of their plants, but anybody can learn it. I didn't wake up learning to speak Spanish, for instance. I've been studying daily for almost 3 years.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Nein, sprechen Sie Deutsch, pero hablo un poquito español. So I have had to learn to speak Spanish. I intended to learn for a long time, but so I work at that daily, and so it's coming around a bit. The same thing applies to caring for plants and being able to expand your horizons in your landscape and the beauty in and around your home. I don't think there's anything that adds more to the overall beauty and value than your landscape.
Now, think about this, Austin. With the number of homes that are being sold in Middle Tennessee, whether they be brand new houses or stuff that is people are moving to or moving from, a memory of a Christmas where you give whether it's a shrub or a tree, that is going to be one of the first things that goes into somebody's new yard. I think it's a fantastic gift.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it really. Getting a magnolia for the yard, an evergreen, something you could even decorate out in the yard if you wanted to. It's a really good gift idea. And like you said, with all the homes coming in, the new ones, the old ones, it doesn't matter. Getting someone a living thing like that is just something that's a little different and special. 2 years ago, I went to Texas and I brought a tree with me. I drove with my family and I brought a dawn redwood to East Texas, which dawn redwood is got to be one of my favorite deciduous trees. It's a deciduous conifer, which is fairly rare, extremely rare actually, for a needled plant like that to drop its foliage over the winter.
And it's a growing machine.
It is a growing machine. They grow like a weed. I've got one in the yard. I've had a number of them. I started some from seed long ago. It's just a great plant to grow. And I brought a little 5-gallon dawn redwood to my brother out in East Texas, my older brother, and I took him outside to give him that gift, and he was beside himself. It was almost like I gave him a new addiction. And he took that thing home. He planted it next to his pond. It is in East Texas. It's hot out there. So dawn redwood isn't necessarily super happy there, but they can grow. And he put it right next to his pond, and he calls it Austin. He named it after me. And he's been watching it grow for the past 2 or 3 seasons. And like I said, it's probably one of the best gifts I've ever gotten him.
This year, the fall color I have one in my yard as well. And the fall color on it was just amazing as well.
It was a good one this year. Bald cypress is the same way.
Yeah.
They had a really nice fall season.
Those are easily confused, by the way.
Very much so.
They're both deciduous conifers, and it's a fairly subtle difference. That's the angle that the needles lie on the stem. So it's very easy to confuse those two plants if you're trying to. And when they're devoid of foliage, it can even
It's a striking tree, yeah.
It's much harder. I will say with what I've noticed looking at them over the years, the two against each other, Dawn Redwood really keeps a pyramidal shape.
Yes, it does.
From the bottom up. I mean, from the like I said, from the bottom. Every single stem is really wanting to go at an upward angle, whereas bald cypress doesn't necessarily do that. It goes very more lateral, and it can create a very heady plant, if you will, very much
less
nice
pyramidal
canopy.
and more
Yes.
ovoid. Yep.
Exactly. So that's a good way to determine the differences if you're trying to identify them.
We had a ton of combs on this one this year too. I mean,
On your Dawn?
Yep.
Did you get any seed off of it?
I haven't. I hadn't dropped yet, so I was going to wait until after it drops and see what happens with some of the combs.
They're fun to germinate. They're an easy plant to germinate. So you can just go ahead and get them in a seed flat and put them in over the winter. Just let them lie dormant, because they will, until the weather permits. And then in the spring, they really jump up, like more so than you would think. Yeah, it's an easy seed to germinate. So fun little project.
I will shift gears for just a moment,
Okay.
Josh. Let's talk about we've talked about the numbers of homes that are being built all around Middle Tennessee, and certainly that's in your wheelhouse. You deal with those kinds of things daily with your employer, the great folks over
Most
at
days
Crosland.
anyway. Yeah.
Crosland Building Supply. So how are things looking availability-wise with respect to the materials that people are building all these homes with?
You can get most everything you need now. It seems that the millwork side of things is tightened. Boy,
And for the understanding of the people who are viewing today, when you talk about millwork specifically, what are you referring to?
Generically speaking, you would probably call it trim.
So things that go around windows or baseboard or...
One of the things that is in particularly short supply is, and it just so happens that it's one of the more popular items for
how that happens.
For the craftsman type homes, where then you have lot of angular details and shiplapping and boxes and square edges that are going to change in style here, and I got a feeling that this may be running its course a little bit. But primed finger jointed boards are, in our world, basically non-existent.
You just can't get them
at any price. Okay, and that's a part of it is that we hear every rumor and every detail. The radiata pine tree forests in New Zealand's pretty well shut down, isn't it? I think it's pretty well still.
So they haven't been sending things out.
Well, and then after they harvest the trees and then finger joint the boards, then they're sent over to this other place in China, and they get primed over there. And it's beautiful material. I mean, but
it's not all that beautiful when it's sitting on a container ship out in Long Beach in the bay there,
or Portland or LA or wherever. And again, we had a pretty busy hurricane season in the Atlantic. So I mean, lots of things come from Brazil and that side of things and up through the courses. So it's just a cycle break. I think we'll probably see some. Forecasts are saying that supply chain stuff ought to be up. Third quarter, fourth quarter of 2022, everything should be ready to rock and roll, man.
It's always just out of reach, just in the future. So anyway, those are the things.
But it's going to be a great year. So I mean, there are workarounds and some other things, but even in it doesn't matter if you're in there's no such thing as really a $65,000 or $70,000 house anymore. I mean, that's
no. I mean, perhaps somewhere in the country, but it's certainly not here.
Lots of these things can be added after the home has been constructed. So I mean, everything that I deal with primarily outside of the windows is, I wouldn't necessarily
Stop fidgeting with your mic, Josh.
I'm getting really wound up about this. I'm getting wound up about it, but the shoe mold doesn't hold the house together. Okay, the baseboard kind of makes it nicer when it's holding it together, but there are styles and changes that they don't use baseboard. So I mean,
you're not going to let those
you shouldn't let
pre-painted finger jointed boards keep you from being able to build a house. You will find a workaround, correct?
But there will have to be some concessions made in certain cases, or you're going to have to really work hard to get it going, or just wait and see what happens.
Okay, Austin, final thoughts on people wanting to get out and do landscaping this weekend. I mean, you couldn't ask for a nicer late November day, beautiful day to come out and get those projects done. You know, it's not too late. It doesn't get too late here in this part of the world. We're fortunate that way.
No, it never does. And really, the time to plant is now. If you're doing deciduous stuff, conifers, it doesn't really matter. Give them the whole winter to kind of sit dormant and be watered for you for the most part. You know, the winter rains that we get here are going to keep your plants moist, and then next spring it's going to be wet like it always is in Middle Tennessee. So then your watering gets cut way down. So come on out. We got plenty to look at.
And 30% off all the deciduous trees except Japanese maples, but that's okay. Here till 4, there's a special event going on over at the Garden Center as well.
Small Business Saturday.
Go out and shop. Find a local guy and do something with it. Hey, get your oil changed with an independent. That would be a good thing to do today.
There you go.
If you have nothing else to go, because the bride's going to be in some shop doing some other things. Hey, for everybody here at the Green Room Studios and the At Home Show, we appreciate you being here. Share the word, spread it. I mean, if you see us on YouTube, if you see us on Facebook, if you see us on soon to be on TikTok, I'm hearing we're going to be having it. That ought to be fun. Instagram. Hey, we're here for you. And come out and see the folks here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center today.
We'll be right here.
We'll see you next Saturday from the Green Room.